Thank you for tuning in to Focus on Teens. This is Dr. Barbara Milton. Today's episode we'll be listening to Zanib Yassin, who is a 15-year-old Dickinson High School student who is a Muslim American who wants to speak out about her experience with Islamophobia here in Jersey City, New Jersey. She has a story to tell. A story of being confronted by ignorance and being shamed and fearing for her safety as an American citizen on the streets of her hometown. It's an experience of many Muslim youth, many Islamic teenagers, and in this episode we're giving voice to their story. We're giving voice to their religion because, quite frankly, we know very little about the Islamic faith. And here, from the mouth of a teenager, we'll learn some of the major tenets of this religion. We'll learn about it and educate ourselves because when you're informed, it's a lot harder to fear. And she's going to talk about what she needs from the community, her peers, what she needs from us at large in the way of being allies and confronting the sort of hatred that happens simply because of the religion and the faith of a community. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I introduce you now to Zanib Yassin. Welcome, Zanib Yassin. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm so happy you decided to come here today and talk to us about some of the concerns you're having about people having fears about the Muslim community, not understanding Muslim youth, Islamic youth. And I just really appreciate that you want to come in and talk about your experience with all that. I hear you have some things to say.
Yeah, a little bit.
Can we just start with you saying your name, what school you go to, what grade you're in, and why this topic interests you?
Okay, my name is Zanib Yassin. I go to Dickinson High School, and I'm in 9th grade. I'm a freshman. Actually, these days a lot of people have been talking about how Muslims are really bad, and personally I got called ISIS, and it was not good. I was shedding some tears, and it wasn't fun. Yeah.
Is that something that's happened recently?
Yeah, it just happened 2 weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
I was walking in Journal Square, and then this lady comes up. She's like, "You're part of ISIS?" And then I was just like, "What? You did not just say that." And then I just walked away. I was like, you know what? Can't say anything back.
Because
I feel weird, going up to her and she's gonna start yelling at me, and then that's it.
Yeah. What do you think gives rise to some stranger on the street, just as you're walking by? What do you think creates an environment where some stranger like that could just walk up to you and say something like that?
Social media.
Yeah.
Most likely, yeah.
Tell me about that.
And Donald Trump, how he's running for president, and then he's calling Muslims terrorists and he wants them all to be banned and stuff like that. So our mosque, it got a letter. It said, "Oh, Mr. Trump is right. You guys are all terrorists. You guys should get out of this country." We saw the letter. I saw it.
What was the name of the mosque?
Tawheed, down, over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so someone wrote a letter there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who wrote it, but it just said Mr. Trump is really right and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you believe there's sort of a political environment right now where it's okay to hate people of Islamic faith. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so you were just walking down the street in Journal Square and some person came up to you and called you ISIS.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, what do people not get? I mean, look, how old are you? 14, 15?
I'm 15, yeah.
Yeah. So have you always been a Muslim?
Yeah, always.
Yeah. So your family for generations have been Muslim. Talk to me about that a little bit, like where your family's from, and talk to me about your Muslim faith.
I'm from Pakistan. Well, I was born here, like in Jersey City, and my parents are from Pakistan. Both of them they're born there, and
Has your family always been Muslim?
yeah, always.
And in your view, what is the Muslim faith to you? Like, if you had to teach some total stranger, like that woman, who obviously is ignorant, misinformed, what are the major points you'd make about the Islamic or Muslim faith that would get people to know what it really is?
First of all, they're not all terrorists. Okay, there's bad in Christians. There's bad everywhere. Okay, there's good people and there's bad people. You can't always just blame one religion. That's what always gets on my nerves. Like, please stop blaming one religion. You know, there's KKK. You guys don't say anything about them. So you guys don't always have to target all Muslims. So that gets me really mad. That's what I want to tell. Like, and Islam is not about killing people. If you kill somebody, that's the biggest sin you can ever get. You're not allowed to kill anybody. If you kill one person, it's like you killed everybody in the world. That's what it is. And Islam is really peaceful, first of all. That's like my personal view, because I pray and it's really peaceful when you feel so peaceful. It's like the best moment in your life. You know, it's like, yeah.
So the major tenets, the major elements of being Muslim and Islam is peace.
Peaceful.
Is about peace.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's because nobody really understands what the Quran is or anything like this, right? Like, if you had to describe that book, what would you say?
I would say it's really awesome. I really like it. I mean, it has so many stories in it. It has like answers for many questions. So like, you know, like that.
Okay.
No, I can't think of it.
Right. I mean, is it similar to a Bible?
Yeah, it's really similar to the Bible.
Do you know in what way it's similar?
It has the same story about Jesus. Okay, it has Moses in it. It has all these prophets that we believe in prophets, and Christians believe in. Like, Jesus is God for them. For us, he's a prophet. So that's one thing I know. Like, it's really similar stories.
And you describe like the feeling you get with prayer. Now you have to pray a certain number of times a day.
5 times a day.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
So first you pray when it's sun is coming out. Before you have to pray like a little bit before that, and it's called the Fajr prayer. And then the second time is like right now it would be a Dhuhr and then Asr, and then Maghrib would be at sunset, and then after that the nightly prayer is like around 7:30. It's like Isha, so we pray 5 times a day. Yeah.
Okay. And do you recite like
Yeah, we recite
a standard prayer?
Yeah. It's like from the Quran. There's verses. You have to read them while we're praying. Yeah.
I bet can you interpret the Arabic prayer to say what it would mean in English if you interpreted it?
I'll tell you one. It's like first we start by saying in the name of God, Allah. That's how we start, and then we start praying, and then we say like, oh, you're the most merciful, and then stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And so, your perception as a 15-year-old is that the advent of some of the things that some of the Republican candidates have been saying about Islam and Muslims has created an atmosphere of prejudice and hate and intolerance, right? I mean, is this the first time you've experienced this? Because, I mean, I guess you were born in and around, I guess you were born right after the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
Right?
A year before, actually.
The year before.
Yeah.
Yeah, because some people would argue that it was sort of from that time period or even earlier in 1996 or 7 when the first bombings of the World Trade Center happened. So, like, would you say that the feeling you're feeling in your generation is a similar feeling to what, like, your older sister or your older brothers and sisters or your parents also feel in their generation? Like they've been experiencing the same kind of feeling around being looked upon as being terrorists and this sort of thing? I
think so, but nowadays it's even more because of Donald Trump, I blame him. I don't know why. It's just, how he is. I don't like how he is. It's really messed up. You can't blame one religion. I don't like that. So yeah.
Okay. But your family do you talk about this in your family? Like over dinner time, over meals? Do you talk about sort of the culture of hate that's out here?
Yeah, sometimes we do. Like, what's going on? What is this? How do we stop it?
Yeah. And do your parents give you like suggestions about what to do given this is how it is?
They just told me to ignore it. That's just how it is. You can't do anything about it, really. So, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, because like in African American families, there are many mothers who have to give advice to their black sons about, what it is they need to do, like in a police stop. Or, walking in through stores and malls, we have to tell our children, to make sure that, their hands are not in their pockets, or because we know they're going to be surveilled the second they walk in stores. I mean, God, it happened to Oprah Winfrey. It's going to happen to anybody, you know what I mean? So your parents give you instructions like that, like, especially when you got that letter from the obviously unbalanced person that wrote the letter to your mosque. Was there a sense of, you all had to do some things differently to be safe? What have you talked about?
Actually, no. My parents didn't tell me anything. They just told me to stay away from those kind of people. Like, if they come to you, say something, just walk away, Don't, don't say anything bad, because then they're going to think you're, like, rude and stuff like that. Especially when they're older. My parents taught me not to be disrespectful, so I can't say anything. So that's why you just walk away.
Yeah. How did it feel when that person said that to you?
I was really sad. It was like, wow, you just come up to me and say that to my face. That's really rude. My friends were all like with me and they were just like, what did she just say? I was like, and first I didn't realize, and my friend was like, look, what did she just say? I was like, oh my gosh, she just said that. Then we were just like, you know what, can't do anything about it.
Yeah, and you weren't even in the full traditional garb of a Muslim woman.
Yeah, I was just normal, coming from school.
Yeah. But you do wear the headdress.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, what is that called, by the way?
It's called a hijab.
It's a hijab.
Yeah.
What is the reason for wearing a hijab for Muslim women?
In the Quran, it says you have to wear it after you hit puberty, girls. But most people, they be like, oh, you don't have to wear it, or, like that. But it says you're supposed to wear it. It's supposed to cover us, cover our privateness and stuff like that.
Okay. Yet I noticed that you dress differently than your sister does, your older sister.
Yeah.
Because your older sister dresses and covers her entire body. Yeah. Tell me about this change between her generation and your generation, and how that is in the Yassin household.
In my family, we don't usually wear the same stuff, but my sister, my mom, my mom actually covers the whole face. She has the niqab, it's called the niqab and everything. My other sister wears it too. And we all wear, like, my sisters, they all wear skirts, usually. And, like, long stuff. Me, because I'm in high school, so I don't usually wear everything, because it feels weird wearing a skirt to school. Only in the summer, like, I like wearing skirts, it's fun. But usually I just wear normal clothes.
Yeah, but that's different, because you're breaking from tradition. Right?
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, you've sort of been westernized a little bit, would you say?
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, are there other Muslim teenagers in your school?
There's so many.
There's so many.
Yeah.
Are you all connected, and are you in like clubs together, or?
Not really.
Or have you been talking to one another about?
Yeah, we talk to each other usually, but not all of us. Like some of them, I don't know them because they're higher grade seniors. Some of them I know, like the freshmen. Usually I know all of them, but like we don't hang out a lot. It's only me and my friends. Yeah.
And so, what sort of grade would you give Dickinson High School at promoting the diversity, safety of a diverse group like you and your Muslim friends?
I would give it a B+. It's pretty safe. I like it. Yeah. It's just outside the school, like, stuff happens, like fights and blah, blah, blah. But then they blame it inside. Everything inside is safe. They have metal detectors, and there's police everywhere inside. So nothing bad happens inside. It's usually outside.
And they did lots of diversity stuff within Dickinson High School. I know they have that big event every spring with all the different diverse groups of students. It's like the most diverse school in the state, I think.
It's really nice, yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many people, like Africans, Dominicans. Everybody's mixed.
Yes.
That's what I like about it.
Yeah, the East Asians, the
Yeah.
Indians. It's just the blacks, the Spanish. It's just all kinds of the
Everybody's
Europeans. Yeah. All right, so that's good to hear. They get a B plus
Yeah, for me.
in promoting diversity within their
Yeah.
borders. How about the city of Jersey City? Like, how would you grade them on the way they respond? Like when they got that letter, did you all go to the police and notify the police? I mean, what?
I didn't know anything. I don't know about the mosque.
I mean, the leadership of the mosque. Are you aware of what they did?
I didn't ask them or anything.
I mean, there was a press conference that was held.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
I did see that. Yeah. But what do you think about the city of Jersey City and how well it promotes the safety of your community, how well it works to protect folks from these sort of blatant, sort of racist and Islamophobic attacks?
Actually,
What do
I
you
don't
think?
know. I mean, there was nobody around me. Nobody said anything. People were just staring at me like she didn't say anything mean. They were just looking at me, and I'm just like, that's really rude of you guys. You guys should have stood up for me and be like, what's wrong with you? You shouldn't be saying that to a little girl, like a teenager. That's what got me mad, actually. That's when I started crying and got me mad. But then, you can't do anything about it. Some people are really nice. Some people would say something, but some people wouldn't say anything.
Yeah, I was going to ask that too. Like, have you had people stand up for you?
Actually, in 6th grade, before, well, 5th grade actually, I was in school. This little girl, 3rd grader, she comes up and she's like, "Are you a terrorist?" And then I was just like, "What?" And then my teacher heard it. She got her suspended. She's like, "You can't say that." She stood up for me. It was really nice of her.
Yeah, we need an ally. Some say accomplices.
Yeah.
We need, in the march to justice, we do need the allies to stand up. Which brings me to this question of sort of like, what do you think it is that people can do to lend support to people like yourself in your community who are the targets of this sort of hatred and ignorance? What do you need people, let's say in your peer group, what do you need people in your peer group to do to support you?
I need them to like actually look at what Islam is and then say something. If they think something bad about it, then they tell me what they ask me. But usually there's nothing bad. It's peaceful. That's what they don't understand, that it's peaceful. Our religion is really peaceful. It's really peaceful. I like it.
You want them to get educated.
Yeah, I want them to be educated. Like, look into the religion and then say something about it. They don't look at it. They just say it because of what they see around you. They be like, "Oh, this girl's this just because you're wearing a scarf." That's like not cool. I don't like that.
Okay. And what about the community at large? When you think about like elected officials, city government, police, institutions like that, what do we need from them to help ensure your safety and to
They need to
demonstrate being an ally to you?
They need to look they need to look around and see what's going on. Like if they see somebody on the street being bullied, they need to stop it. Some people just walk away. They're just like, oh, who cares? They're not fighting. At least they're not touching each other, so it's okay. Just an argument. They just walk away. Yeah.
So that's what you need from government to
Most
help
likely.
deal with the kind of hate that's out here. You need them to intervene. You need them to jump in and interrupt things when it's happening. That's what you're saying? Okay. And what about, you have this platform. Lots of people are going to watch this show, and these are people in their homes, their families, their parents, grandparents. I mean, there may be some of these teachers and elected officials and like that too, but you have a platform to speak directly to other parents and families in Jersey City. Yeah. So what do you need from them to make sure that we address this sort of hate that's happening and that leads to you feeling unsafe and having a horrible experience like you did walking down the street? What do you need from them?
Stand up for it. If literally if you see somebody being bullied or anything like that, calling names, you need to stand up for them. Okay, just because they're wearing the same thing or different thing, you can't judge them by what they look like. Okay, you need to see how they are. That's what I want to say. Everybody should know that. Just because a person is dressed like this, don't judge them. Just you don't know how nice they are, how good they are. You need to know about that.
Okay. All right. And what about a person like you, another young person, another Muslim youth who maybe isn't as courageous as you, to come forward like this, to volunteer to go on a television show, right? To speak so nicely about your experiences. I mean, you've done an excellent job in this episode here. What do you say to other Muslim youth about how to deal with this kind of hate that's happening in the community? What sort of words of inspiration can you give them?
Stand up for your religion. Okay, don't let other people bully you just because of your religion. You have to stand up for it. You should tell them how it is. Tell them how peaceful it is. So, like, they don't, like, have these misconceptions and, like, oh, you know, like, oh my god, they bomb stuff. They bomb everything. In school, personally, I get called ISIS again. Like, kids around me, they're just like, oh, ISIS, just because I'm wearing a scarf. And then, you know, sometimes it gets me mad. Sometimes I just tell my teacher, and then she, like, says stuff to them, usually. So just stand up for yourself. That's all you need to do. Yeah.
Stand up for yourself. All right. Tell me about you, the student. What kind of student are you in high school? What sort of grades do you get?
I get usually A's and B's.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be a doctor.
What kind of doctor?
Children's doctor. I think it's called a pediatrician.
Pediatrician?
Yeah, that.
What inspires you to do that?
I love kids. I love little kids. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're interested, are there other doctors in your family? Or are you going to be the first breakout doctor? So you want to go into a helping profession? You want to help save kids' lives. That's what you want to do when you grow up.
I want to go to different countries and help them, you know, like the Africans, like, you know, like those kids. I like them, you know, it's really cute. You know, talking to kids, you know, I love them. So I love kids.
Terrific, terrific. So you're good in science, I would imagine, and math.
Yeah, I get all A's in science.
That you need. And when you aren't pondering these very large questions in the world, like how to fight Islamophobia, what do you do for fun?
I go to my friend's house, I hang out, you know, I go to the mall, and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's like any other teenager would.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is part of the message too. I mean, you know, we're all the same, right?
Everybody's equal.
Everybody's equal. It's a cultural differences, and you know, don't hate. We have to respect one another. Yeah. Any final words you want to say?
No, that's it.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate you doing this.
Thank you.
That people say that again.
I don't want people to disrespect other religions, you know. Respect each other. Make sure you respect each other. Because then you're like, you don't, I don't want that hate to be there. Like, you know, just don't hate each other, you know. We're all human. We need to be together, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's an important message, you know. And I think you're right. I mean, I don't know. I mean, who do you think benefits from dividing us all up against one another? And, like, who wins in that scenario? I don't know.
I don't know either.
You know?
Yeah.
But there's certainly a lot of that going around. The dividing of people along class and race and religion and these sort of things. And you almost get the sense that, like, God, if we could just reject that and all come together, what sort of amazing things we can do when we're all pulling together, you know?
That would be amazing. Everybody together, working together, you know, having fun. You know, that would be so awesome.
Yeah, having fun, you know. But like you said, the roots of that, the cornerstone of that is we have to respect one another.
That's the most important thing. Respect each other and everything will be fine.
Yeah, this will be a lot better. Alrighty. You know, thanks again.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Focus on Teens. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. And remember the words of our teenager, Zanib. Stand up. Be an ally. Don't disrespect people based on their religion. Don't disrespect people at all. What a wonderful world it would be if we learn to be in harmony, if we learn to embrace the diversity that exists in our communities, and we all pull together for the wellness of ourselves, our families, and our neighbors in our community. Stand up, be an ally, challenge hate wherever it exists. You be the one to stand up against Islamophobia. That's what Zanid deserves as an American citizen. It's what all of our Islamic brothers and sisters deserve here in Hudson County and around our nation. Thanks for your time.
Here's what else we cannot do. We cannot turn against one another by letting this fight be defined as a war between America and Islam. That, too, is what groups like ISIL want. ISIL does not speak for Islam. They are thugs and killers, part of a cult of death. And they account for a tiny fraction of more than 1 billion Muslims around the world, including millions of patriotic Muslim Americans who reject their hateful ideology. Moreover, the vast majority of terrorist victims around the world are Muslim. If we're to succeed in defeating terrorism, we must enlist Muslim communities as some of our strongest allies, rather than push them away through suspicion and hate. That does not mean denying the fact that an extremist ideology has spread within some Muslim communities. There's a real problem that Muslims must confront without excuse. Muslim leaders here and around the globe have to continue working with us to decisively and unequivocally reject the hateful ideology that groups like ISIL and Al-Qaeda promote, to speak out against not just acts of violence, but also those interpretations of Islam that are incompatible with the values of religious tolerance, mutual respect, and human dignity. But just as it is the responsibility of Muslims around the world to root out misguided ideas that lead to radicalization, it is the responsibility of all Americans, of every faith, to reject discrimination. It is our responsibility to reject religious tests on who we admit into this country. It's our responsibility to reject proposals that Muslim Americans should somehow be treated differently. Because when we travel down that road, we lose. That kind of divisiveness, that betrayal of our values, plays into the hands of groups like ISIL. Muslim Americans are our friends and our neighbors, our co-workers, our sports heroes. And yes, they are our men and women in uniform who are willing to die in defense of our country. We have to remember that.